All right, welcome to the podcast. And today we have a fabulous guest. And before we dive into the conversation, I would love to introduce you to Hayley. Welcome, Hayley.
Hello, Cal. So
So
good to
good to
see
have
you
you.
again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome. So before we dive into today's episode, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your story and what led you to the work that you do now?
such a beautiful question. Well, if I could say just one thing, just following the whispers, following the breadcrumbs. I think I'd have to start way back when I met you because that's most prevalent for us today. 18 years ago, I think we connected at fitness college, and I've always been a spiritual person, but I remember stepping foot into that fitness college and going, oh wow, these are my people. This is professional personal development. I love this space. And I went on to become a personal trainer, did a couple of years as a PT overseas, and then came back and started working in a gym. And I think that was any person who steps foot into business or as a sole trader even, you're on a personal development journey, right? And that's, I think, where I reconnected with you and, moved into from a gym into a studio within about 6 months. I think you supported me to do that. And the rest was history, like 13 years, very successful business. And I was always just that person kind of wanting more. I always wanted to be serving more people at a deeper level, deeper capacity. So I went on to study occupational therapy, obviously got married, had a baby, and then it wasn't until I worked in a private hospital here in Brisbane as an OT, as well as running my personal training business at the same time, as well as being pregnant. And I look back now on that and I'm like, wow, that was the recipe for a soul awakening, if I could say that. And it wasn't until the birth of my second daughter that things around me started to crumble.
Mm,
And I had to really go inward. I was diagnosed with postnatal depression and anxiety. And what I thought I knew about myself, yeah, my identity was, yeah, it was a really big ego death. Let's
yeah.
just say that. And from then on, I decided instead of going the clinical route, I would get some support through a coaching company. And anyway, subsequently, they offered me a job after about 6 months of doing some work. And I remember the coach saying, you're a coach. I'm like, yeah, I know that. I've been a coach for the last 15 years, but not just at a one-to-one kind of mindset level. It was more in the physical through PT. So that was my kind of foot in the door into the coaching industry. And I worked for them for about 4 years. But again, there's this like inner knowing of like, there's got to be something more. There was something that I was missing. And like, whilst that was a really profound modality and it really connected a lot of the dots for me, my inner knowing, my soul was just craving more. And I knew that my body, I was still holding on to some stuff. So I started exploring, more deeper meditation practices, breath work, became a breath work facilitator, as you do, and started using these modalities on my clients. And I was like, wow, this is just profound. And it wasn't until, I'd always been into meditation. So, even as a PT, I was that person hiding in the back closet, doing some breath work and meditation. But it wasn't until I started to recognize that the breath was the gateway to my soul. And I really, truly started to listen to that inner knowing through breath work, that I guess you could say, soul gifts started to come online again. I further explored different modalities like Reiki, Kundalini activation, psychic mediumship development. And so, yeah, so now I guess I just kept following those breadcrumbs. I decided to walk away from that coaching company after 4 years, and here I am working for myself now. I guess more in a multi-dimensional capacity. So I don't just work one-to-one talk therapy or coaching capacity. It's more also on a somatic and energetic level. And we do lots of deep dive into the body as well as really getting my clients to go inward and listening to the soul whispers. So yeah, and then operating from that place.
I love
So
how you
yeah.
say the following of the breadcrumbs because you work with a lot of women around self-leadership, and then when you do start to follow the breadcrumbs, it leads you to where you need to go. But lots of people right now are pushing that aside and think and there's a lot of coming from, I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And there's a lot of trying to control the breadcrumbs. But when you actually start to follow the
Mm,
breadcrumbs, you it leads you to places that is beyond what you ever could have possibly ever
100%.
imagined. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
turns out to be so much more beautiful than you could imagine.
Mm,
So when you look at that, when someone's actually, trying to force it and outsourcing their power, what's usually happening underneath that?
such a good question. So I truly believe that we are conditioned from childhood to outsource our power. I mean, we only have to look at the schooling system, you know?
Hmm. Yes.
And so with so much love and compassion, I think it's what we've been modeled and what we've been taught, right? And that feels familiar in our body. That feels like safety in our nervous system. And so for a lot of the high functioning women that I work with, it's not necessarily, you know, that they're doing anything wrong. It's just that they just don't know any other way. And so this is about them letting go of what they thought they knew or what they thought they should be doing and actually dropping into the body, dropping into the nervous system, actually building a relationship with their body and their nervous system and that soul. And then starting, I often say to women, like if you had a new relationship, an intimate relationship, what does that look like? It takes time, it takes devotion, it takes trust, it takes love, and
Nurturing.
compassion, nurturing 100%. And it is going to take time. You are going to fumble, you are going to get it wrong. And so for a lot of people, for a lot of women, particularly that I work with, um, it's just about dropping inward and remembering
It
because
is.
we never lost it. We've never lost it. It's always there. Yeah.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. It's always been there, but yeah, just
Yeah.
through that conditioning that we just have lost that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you really do connect back to that, like I said before, it does take you to these magical places like it has with you. So, why do you think so many women struggle to trust themselves, even when they know what they deep down should be doing? Because, when I chat to people, it's like, you know, really, when you really connect in, it's like, oh, I knew I should be doing that, but they're choosing not to do that. So, why do you think
Mm,
women do struggle to trust themselves when they do know what to do?
mm. I love this question. And it might be a little bit woo-woo where I'm going to go with this one.
That's okay.
But I know you love the woo.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think, I truly believe and truly know that we've forgotten where we've come from. We've forgotten who we are, like beyond our mind and the thoughts that we have, beyond our body and the feelings and emotions and the sensations that we have. We are an awareness, we are a consciousness, we are source, spirit, insert whatever word, God, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that is what we are. And when you're truly deeply connected with that place and that part of you, life is just so much more gracious, more easeful. There's just so much more flow. So I truly believe we've forgotten that.
Yeah.
And we've used our mind in order to try and outthink, control, force, strive, push beyond who we truly are.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So, what do you think are some signs a woman has become disconnected from herself in life or in business?
yeah, great question. So um a lot of the women that cross my path typically feel a little bit beige. They feel like disconnected from themselves. They feel disconnected in their relationships. They feel stuck or
Mm,
this real flatness. There's just no aliveness in them.
yeah,
And that is one of the truest signs that you're disconnected from yourself.
yeah. And it's like they lose this life force energy.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
then they start to feel burnt out, overwhelmed, and then the day-to-day stuff starts to become very hard to deal with because of
Absolutely.
that in their system. Is that something that you see quite often?
Yeah, definitely with high functioning women. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And constantly running on the treadmill.
yeah. So what does that
Treadmill of
act
life.
the treadmill of life, yes, like the mum, the business, all of the things.
Yes.
So what does that survival mode actually look like? When someone comes to you, what are they saying to you, and what does that actually look like in real life?
A lot of them come to me and say, I don't know where to start, Hayley. I don't know what to do. I feel really disconnected. I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And that last line is the um yeah, it's the gateway.
Yeah.
It's the bridge.
It
It's
is the
that's
bridge.
yeah.
Yeah. So when they come to you, how does that stress, that fear, that pressure, how is it starting to affect them in their life or in their
Mm,
business?
yeah. A lot of the women that I work with are, high functioning women. So they're finding there's a lot of stress and overwhelm at work and not being able to function as well as what they used to. A lot of them are, um, let's say, getting intolerant to their children or in their relationships. That's a really big one. Losing their cool, being reactive rather than responding from the place of love. So, yeah, they're the big ones.
And what would be the first thing that you would do with these women who come to you? So if they are feeling burnt out, reactive, what's that first starting point for you?
Yeah, so I run a program called the Oracle, and one of the first pillars in the Oracle is um, getting them to regulate,
Mm,
literally getting them to regulate their nervous system. That is the foundation because if you're stuck in survival mode, you can't see your best self. You can't feel your best self or your best day ever. You don't even know what that looks like. And so it's about bringing their nervous system back into some form of rest and digest for them to actually then start the inner work, so
yeah.
to speak. Yeah.
And so, do you mind just sharing a little bit about what actually regulating the nervous system is? Because I think we see that a lot on social media. It's like, you know, regulate your nervous system. And people know that that's what should be
Mm,
happening. And they know that feeling of like that contraction, the tightness in their shoulders or their neck. So, what
mm.
does regulating your nervous system look like for you?
Yeah. So a lot of women come to me and like, I can't spend 30 minutes meditating or doing any form of breath work. And I get it. Like I've been there. I've been in, really dark times where I've had 3 minutes to spare and that's been it. But what I often tell a lot of women is that it starts in the micro moments. It's like having a level of awareness to actually stop and pause and have that awareness around, okay, what is my mind telling me here? What is the story that I'm running? And then ultimately, how does that make me feel? Like, can I feel this underlying urgency or forward motion in my body? What does it feel like when I sit with my heartbeat? Is it really fast? Is it really slow? What is there for me? And then once we have that level of awareness, we can then it's simply one moment of taking a breath.
Hmm.
That's all it has to be. So I often say to clients, we don't have to sit and meditate like a monk in the mountain every morning for an hour. These are in the micro moments throughout the day.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
it's like, I know that there's, half an hour meditations, an hour meditations, and people go, yeah, I don't have time to do that. But it's even if you did have time to do that, it's what you're doing throughout the rest of the 23 hours for the day
absolutely.
as well. So those micro moments are so huge. And when we look at patterns and how, you know, the process that we go through that is keeping people stuck, that awareness is that first step. And
Mm,
once you've got
mm,
that, it makes a huge difference. And I know with, some of my clients, just the awareness of what they're doing, it's just like, oh my goodness, like I can see now why I feel like this. I can
yeah,
see why I'm in this pattern or why I keep doing that side of
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I often say to clients, awareness is key. However, it's what you do in the next moment
Mm,
that will create the massive shifts in your world. Like I often say, it's even just in that 1%, in that moment of like, oh, here's my awareness. Now I get to choose what action I take next.
yeah, massive.
Mm, hmm
People know what to do, but there's also so many people that struggle to do it consistently.
hmm
Why do you think that is?
Oh, look, I'm a very consistent person, so but I love a good routine. However, what I often see, and you know, I'm not immune to this. Yeah, we love a good shiny object. We have shiny object syndrome. Um, I think a lot of people will often, like I said, outsource our power. We want the thing, but we're actually not willing to go on the journey to get the thing, right? And I truly believe, like, even just looking back at my life, the journey is actually where the juice is. The
Mm.
journey is where the gold is. And so it's in those consistent sets and reps and doing the thing where you're going to get the juice and the gold and the learning opportunities for evolution and transformation moving forward. And it's like I often will say, like, if you saw me on a video right now, I'd be looking back. If I look back on my life, all those little micro moments have me where I am today. And when I can actually receive all the juice in that, like fully receive it in my nervous system and go, okay, I'm going to use that to move forward, your life will completely transform. Completely transform.
You mentioned before about bright, shiny object syndrome,
Mm,
and a lot of business people can definitely relate to that. And so that's obviously looking outside yourself for the answers.
hmm
What's the cost of constantly looking outside yourself for the answers and not coming back to yourself?
mm. For me, it's very multi-dimensional. So there's a cost mentally, there's a cost emotionally, there's a cost spiritually, there's a cost financially, like in every areas of your life. Because you could be somewhere else, but you're not. You're right here in the present moment. We're right here today. This is where we are. And we have to be willing to just actually be here and then drop into our body and start to listen to those soul whispers. Like, what am I actually here for? Like, why? Like, and let that be your driving force rather than searching outside of yourself for the next other coach who's doing this thing or that thing,
Mm,
or dropping in and going, well, what am I here for?
yeah.
Like,
What,
what's my purpose here?
yeah. What actually brings you joy and
Yeah,
happiness? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because when we are looking outside ourselves, yeah, that's when the stress, the fear, the anxiety, the
Mm,
doubt really starts to creep in because, like you said at the start, you've lost your true
hmm
self.
Yeah.
So when people do start to feel that stress, the fear, the pressure, how does that then affect their daily lives?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I think it affects all areas of life. But for many of us, we operate from this, high functioning urgency, and life just feels a lot more stressful. I relate it back to my own experience in this, and um, I'm never present.
Hmm.
I'm never present with my children. I don't get to experience them in their fullness and their soul expression. I'm not there with my husband when he's trying to connect with me.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about other things. I'm not actually here in my body experiencing life today. I'm always thinking about being somewhere that I'm not. And I don't know about you, but that to me is just a form of torture.
Yeah. It's so interesting you bring that up because last week that was many conversations I had with clients. It's that they're very successful in business. However, they're also bringing that thought process home and not switching
Mm.
off, thinking
Yeah.
about it day and night, thinking about conversations, emails, staff, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
And that's what's resulting in the burnout. And it's not being fully present in the moment as well that,
Mm.
people and, women that we're referring to as like they've created these most magical lives through their business.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like it's what they asked for so many years ago. But
Mm.
to be that present and really savor that is a big thing for women at the moment, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because I definitely
Yeah.
feel that that's a huge part um, of what is also keeping people stuck right now. It's because their
Mm.
energy is now also being diverted in so many different ways that it can't be
100%.
fully brought down and,
Yes.
made into something so powerful.
Yeah. Yep. Totally relate to
Yeah.
that.
So when we look at intuition and fear, because that's what this is all about, it's really trusting themselves.
Mhm.
what is the difference between intuition and fear, and how do people know which voice they're listening to?
Mm. So to even get to that point, I think first and foremost, you have to build a relationship with both. So you have to build a relationship with your mind, you have to build a relationship with your body, and then ultimately your channel will come through you when you can differentiate the two. But to answer your question directly, I think fear does come from the mind, right? And there's always, often for me and many of my clients, is there's a story or a narrative or perhaps a statement or a judgment surrounding that, right? Um, Surrounding that thought. However, intuition is it's so much more subtle and it can be easily missed. And this is why I often get clients to build a relationship with body and mind in their channel because the intuition is so subtle in our, those smaller senses. Like for me, it comes through as an inner knowing. Perhaps it might be, like one word. It could be something as, simple as a sense in the body of yes, it's so simple and we often can sometimes miss it, like we said. Yeah. So build a relationship with that channel so that you can differentiate between the two. Yeah.
That's huge because when you start to take note of the little things, and that's what I say to my clients as well, start with the little things, even if it's like what to have
Mm,
for dinner, what clothes
hmm
to wear, like those
Yeah.
simple in the moment, day-to-day things that you do.
Yeah.
And that's going to help you build that evidence
Yeah.
to, when something big does come along, that path to take, which is so
Yeah.
important to do. And again, this is, you know, it goes back to not looking outside yourself. The answers, like when you do have a challenge, you'll know within yourself what the next best
Mm.
step is for you.
Yeah. And I often, get clients to practice expansion or contraction in the body. Starting with the little micro moments, like you said, do I want a coffee today? Is that expansion in my body or is that a contraction? And so just listening in those smaller moments where it's not so emotionally charged,
Hmm.
so that when those big moments do come around, you can actually feel into your body and know what feels right and what feels like not okay. So,
And I love that tool. That is such a powerful tool. And I forgot,
mm,
I actually unconsciously do that every day. And I
mm,
forgot just how powerful that is. Yeah. Because
mm,
now that's
yeah,
just a part of my operating system that I
that's right.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget that people
hmm
don't understand that. Yeah.
hmm
Now you talk about reparenting the
mm.
mind and the work that you do, and this is a beautiful flow on from that. So what does that actually mean when you reparent the
Mm.
mind?
Yeah, so in the work that I do, I often refer to the mind and the body and the nervous system like two inner kids. So the mind is like a 5-year-old child, and so is the body. And most of the time, our mind um, is referring back to past experiences, our conditioning from childhood. So that's why it's kind of like a 5-year-old kid. And I don't know about your mind, but my mind's often like, I just want my own way. It's kind of like a little kid. I want this and I want the ice cream, mummy, you
And it
know?
doesn't stop.
No,
It constantly goes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And same with the body. The body can often have these undigested lived experiences where we're operating from, past fears or emotions or feelings that have been unfelt, so to speak. And so this is about stepping into your awareness. Remember, we can use awareness, any word, soul, spirit, God, whatever you want to call that, but I like to call it the observing self and go, okay, my mind is writing a massive story here. And I need to actually reparent that 5-year-old kid because, reparenting is not from a place of strictness or being harsh. It's actually operating from, and to create any form of change, it has to be done from a place of love and compassion. So for me, it's like, hey, sweetie, like I know you want the lollipop after dinner. However, we don't have that right now. We don't have that after dinner, darling. And just allowing that to, it's kind of like
Mm,
reframing, but I call it reparenting because she definitely needs some calm, strong, stable leadership in her life.
yeah.
Yeah. And same with the body. When the body is having a feeling or an emotion, I'll often get clients to drop in and treat the body and the nervous system like a 5-year-old child. Like this is inner child work. and getting them to actually regulate from that place. Hey, sweetie, I've got you. You're safe here. Nothing's going to happen. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Because my next question was going to be asking around how do you begin reconnecting with the like people
Mm,
begin reconnecting with themselves after years of operating from stress and that
mm.
survival mode. And that's, yeah, they're really great tools to help with that. And I love how
Yeah.
you also say it's from a place of love too.
Yeah.
So,
Love and compassion.
yeah, definitely. So what shifts can people start to see when they do start self-leading from clarity instead of that fear, when they, take on those tools that you've just said? What starts to happen when they start to lead with that, that their power and their
Mm,
intuition and instead of the fear that they've been running for so many years in conditioning?
yeah. I mean, for me and many of my clients, so many beautiful opportunities will arise. So many synchronicities. You start to see those little, those little moments in life where you're like, ah, spirit is speaking with me. The universe is speaking to me here. It's showing me the signs and the symbols of the next right move to take. And we recognize that. And this is a big one for a lot of women is like, I'm actually not alone and I am beyond supported here. And with that support, I can actually trust this. And trust is such a big thing in self-leadership. It's trusting yourself, your channel, knowing that you're connected to something greater than yourself, and then operating from that place. Like I said, your life completely will shift and change. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy by any means. Like when you start to follow those whispers and you know you've got to quit your job or you know you've got to run the big event that's going to scare you, doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that you have to deepen the level of work within yourself, your own inner work, and continue to parent your mind, parent your body, drop back into that channel. What's the next right move that I have to take? And just operating from more compassion and love.
Because that took time to get there. Like when we look at that sort of work, it's like, well, you've been doing that pattern for so many years. It
Mm,
can take a little bit of time for your body to understand the new way of doing
yeah.
this. So it's also about having um, patience with yourself as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it gets easier over time.
It
You
does.
know, you
Yeah.
start to build a little bit of evidence to suggest that you can do it a different way. For many high functioning women, it's like I've operated in this way for a really long time. So you kind of you kind of have to get a few runs on the board
Yeah.
to like, oh, okay, well, I followed my soul here and that felt really good. And look what opened up for me there. So yeah, I often say get an evidence jar and just start putting little things in it that happen because that's yeah, it builds up over time.
It does. And I love the synchronicities of the world, like so
Mm,
many stories that I could share about that. It's just, you just can't make it up.
no,
And that's when you know it's
yeah.
absolutely beautiful and miracles happen every day. So,
Hmm.
do you mind sharing a story of someone who came to you really disconnected from themselves and, what sort of changed for them and where they are now? What was that journey that you took them on?
Mm. I'm going to share two because I feel like this is not a linear process, right? Um, you know, uh, it can look different for everyone, but if we were to go to the extremes, I had a woman come to me who was in a high functioning corporate job. She decided to quit her job. Then she realized that she was so burnt out that she actually needed a year off. And that took so much courage for her to, take the year off and then recognize that her soul wanted her to create a business that was completely different to the path or the trajectory that she was originally on and then to operate from that place and then run the business and do the business. And she's in that evolution now. Um, and then on the opposite end of the scale, I've got lots of women who don't change the big things in their life, like the relationship or the job or the children. They all kind of stay the same, but their life feels like they're in more grace, they're in more flow, they're operating from this regulation, they're obviously having all those synchronicities like we're talking about come forth and like, oh wow, source and spirit is connecting with me and it's in the life, in their actual life, the day-to-day life that they're living life in the
Mm,
present moment. And like both extremities are beyond powerful.
Yeah.
So it's not just one way. It looks different for everyone. So,
Yeah. What's one thing women can start doing today to reconnect with themselves and regulate their nervous system?
mm,
Like if they're listening to this going, oh my God, that is me, like what's just one thing they can start doing?
so in my Oracle group program, one of the first pillars that I love to teach is like, as I mentioned earlier, self-regulation, but surrounding that, it's actually creating a daily devotional practice.
Mm.
So, and that can look different for everybody, but I think, as I mentioned before, it's about building a relationship with your body, your mind, and then your soul. And that, like, when you build that relationship, you know, it takes time, it takes devotion, it takes trust, it takes, oh, so many different things. And you have to be willing to get it wrong. It's not going to look perfect. And starting to, yes, perhaps use some meditation or breathwork tools to support the body, but also find actually what works for you. So listening to the breadcrumbs of like, oh, like I like that meditation, but I like the way he did this in this different way. And, following that podcast over there to like, oh, she said that, but when actual fact that didn't feel right for me, And so this is what happens in a daily devotional practice of like, this is just my devotion to coming home to myself and what's real for me and what's true for me. And that can be done in a big chunk of time in the morning, or it can be done in the micro moments throughout the day. So yeah, building a daily devotional practice.
I am a huge advocate for that. I've been
Yeah.
saying that for so long, and I think it
Mm,
makes the biggest difference
yeah.
to not just business, but to someone's life, how they feel during the day, how they show up from the actions that they're taking in
Yeah.
business. And yes, there are so many tools out there, but like you said, it's coming back to, well, does this feel expanded or contracted? How did I feel when I did this
Yeah.
practice? Does this feel good? Does this not feel good? And
Yeah.
again, it's coming back to trusting yourself. And
Yeah.
from there, you just keep following. I think that's a huge lesson for this episode
Mm,
is really just following the breadcrumbs, which
mm,
will guide you to places that you've never like even believed you could have because it's
mm.
so miraculous, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would add to that is knowing that it is so different for everyone. And, whilst my journey may have started with, breath work or meditation, maybe for you it is movement, and I know you probably have a lot of fitness industry people listen to this, but, maybe it is movement, or maybe it is, being out in nature on the trails, or, in a swimming pool doing laps and finding that presence when you're watching the line. Like it can be as simple as that. And so, this is what, I teach. It is a daily devotional, and exploring that for yourself is the biggest reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone last week and they said to me, for the first time ever, and this person, I think, is in their early 40s, said, for the first time ever a couple of years ago, I realized that I actually liked cooking. I was like, that is
Mm,
so good. And then I said to this person, I said, a question that you can ask even every single moment if you need to, what
mm,
would bring me joy right now?
yeah.
And do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you do feel that joy, it just, your
Yeah.
energy changes, you change,
You raise your
you
frequency.
raise your
Yeah.
frequency. That's when you
Yeah.
get more downloads of what the next step is. Because as parents, as business owners, we can get so caught up in the strategy and what needs to happen, and I need to follow this process.
Mm,
But if you actually just stopped and listened to your intuition to follow the breadcrumbs, what would actually bring me joy right now that would open up a whole
mm,
new potential for you?
yeah. Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
So if someone's listening to this and realizing that's me, I've been outsourcing my power, I'm not listening to my intuition, what would you want them to know?
Hey, you're human.
Yes.
Like go gently on yourself. Like truly, I think don't let it be another to-do list. Don't let it be another right or wrong. Um, I think one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn is that this is that's the growth, right?
Mm,
Being on the journey is where the growth is. That's where the juice is. And so recognizing that, yeah, you've got to get it wrong to get it right, like,
yeah.
and inviting in some love and compassion. And it only takes one moment to drop back into that awareness. It only takes one moment to go, huh, I'm really reactive right now, or my mind is on a tangent about what's going on at work, or this gossiping, whatever's gossip is happening over there, or my body feels really dysregulated right now, or I paid my mentor like triple the amount of money I probably should have, you know? Um, Dropping into that awareness and just going, okay, all right, this moment, in this moment, what's the next right thing for me?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so when people do that, what becomes possible when people learn to do that and trust themselves again?
Everything.
Mm,
When you recognize that your source, your spirit, you're a soul having a human experience, anything is actually possible. It's as simple as that. I know that sounds a bit woo, but you recognize that anything is possible.
yeah. So
Hmm.
beautiful. Where can people connect with you, follow you on
Yeah,
social media or work with you?
yeah, I play over on Instagram. Feel free to follow me, Hayley Lam underscore wellness. Or you can find me on my website, hayleylam.com.au.
Beautiful. And I'll pop those details below. Thank you so much. As always, we just pick
Mm,
up where we left off,
always,
and there's
always.
always so much gold in our conversations. And I
Mm.
absolutely appreciate you for being here and appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kel, for all the work you're doing in this industry. So much appreciated. It's great to chat to you.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next episode.